Welcome. I'll give a second to let everyone in the room. We're happy to have you here today. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining us from. Well, welcome. My name is Carolyn Muller. I'm the Senior Director of Learning and Development at IFTA, and I want to welcome you today and thank you for joining us. Today, we're hosting a very important conversation. How do trailer specs affect thermal performance and a cleaner, greener journey? It's brought to you today by our IFTA Elite member, Great Dane. Great Dane has been an elite member for many years, and this year marks their 125th anniversary. Before our presentation, I have a couple of housekeeping items. You'll notice that you are on mute. That doesn't mean we don't want you to participate. So please feel free to enter any questions you have in the chat during the presentation, and we'll try to get to them real time if possible. And if not, we'll make sure to go through them at the end of the presentation. The presentation today is also being recorded, which means we'll post this to the IFTA website in the next couple of days. So feel free, if you've seen something today that you think another colleague would benefit from, please feel free to send them our way and we'll make sure they get a link to see that. So let me go ahead and announce our panel today. We're super excited to have Tim Smites and Angie Johnson with us. Tim is with Great Dane, and he has earned his BSME from the University of Nebraska. He's been in the trailer industry his entire career for 39 years. Tim started as a design engineer and joined Great Dane when they were purchased as a reefer division of Tempte in 1988. He's held various engineering roles at Great Dane and is currently the reefer product director. Tim is a licensed professional engineer for the past 33 years. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
And Angie Johnson is the Director of Materials Engineering from North America at Microban International. Since joining Microban in 2018, she's led technical teams supporting major partners such as GE Appliance, Great Dane, and California Innovations. So Angie is recognized for her leadership and collaborative approach and driving innovative solutions that advance company material engineering functions across North America. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I just want to point out that, Great Dane, of course, has been a fantastic partner of ours. They've pioneered refrigerated freight transportation industry and have invented the first factory-based reefer in the 1940s. The refrigerated trailer and truck bodies come standard with liners equipped with the antimicrobial protection. And Microban is considered to be the global leader in antimicrobial and odor control solutions. So together, they've partnered for a little over 15 years. So we clearly have the experts with us today for this topic. So we're excited. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Everyone knows that thermal performance is a main concern for their business. So Tim, maybe we can start with you and you can tell us a little bit how the trailer specs affect thermal performance and ultimately product protection, excuse me.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So with the reefer trailer, the most important thing, of course, is insulation. So it's important that you spec the insulation for the proper loads that you're carrying, the proper temperatures that you want to maintain. Some customers will be hauling ice cream at 20 below. Others will be hauling frozen products at 0 degrees. And others will be hauling just refrigerated freight produce perhaps at 35 degrees. So it's very important that we spec the correct insulation package, and those of us here at Great Dane will be happy to work with you on what's the correct insulation for your sidewalls, roof, floors, things like that. Some of the other important things are here at Great Dane, we use a panel foaming process, which means we put the foam into the sidewall before we put the sidewall on the trailer. And we do this in controlled shots in certain cavities and whatever. But the panel foaming gives us better control and better cell structure, better foam density, more consistent, and just overall better thermal properties and insulation than, say, a mandrel process where the foam is put in after the trailer is built. The other important things are having certainly a reliable refrigeration unit. For some high value loads, some of our customers even will have a redundant unit on there to make certain that they can control the temperatures. Of integrated monitoring within the temperatures so that we know that the trailers are going to maintain that temperature and the product is going to be held at the constant temperature throughout the trip. We can even record door openings and things like that, so we know that we can ensure that the load has not been tampered with while it was en route. Multi-temperature compartments are also available for trailers or for customers that haul frozen in part of their trailer and refrigerated in part of their trailer as well. Certainly food service, that's very big in the food service industry.
Yeah.
Air chutes. So we want to get that cold air to the rear of the trailer. So if we are hauling at one certain temperature, the entire trailer, we get that temp distribution through all of that. So those are some of the key factors for trailer specs.
So Angie, tell us a little bit about how you fit in this mix with the Microban.
Yes, absolutely. So we are lucky enough to be partnered with Great Dane. And as I kind of worked with Great Dane over the years and learned all the energy and effort and research that they put into their trailers, I found it to be amazing. And for Microban, we are lucky enough to be on the inside liner of those refrigerated trailers. And for years, clean and refrigerated transportation was really by visual appearance or use of cleaning chemicals. But by adding in Microban, what Great Dane has done is they've added that additional layer of proactive product protection. And by adding us in that inside layer, those treated materials can remain up to 99.99% cleaner than untreated ones. So with all the stuff that Great Dane has done to keep that thermal stability, and as well as adding us into the liner, you end up with, it translates to fresher trailers, less odor, and more confidence in that whole cold food journey.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So let's talk about sort of the cleaner journey. Tell us a little bit about Great Dane, the features Great Dane has worked on with trailer design to give the fleets that cleaner journey.
Well, certainly the interior surface of the trailer is, what we're going to be focusing on the most. And so we want a smooth, non-porous liners and floors and walls and what have you. We want corrosion resistant materials, typically aluminum or stainless steel. And we have some customers that want cargo track, and we want that to be corrosion resistant. So galvanized cargo track is a popular option, but we also offer aluminum cargo track as well. All of the surfaces are rounded. We've got drains, we've got gutters. So we want to make sure that we can clean the trailer out easily, washing out when it's needed. And while our employees are doing that, we want to have them have a safe surface. So we offer non-slip surfaces on entry points at the rear frame, the side doors, and on the floor as well, if the customer wants to choose that.
Yeah, that's great. Angie, can you tell us how Microban not only offers a cleaner environment, but it's sort of part of this sustainability journey?
Sure. So as Tim mentioned, they've put a lot of thought into how to make these cleaner, how to make them easier to clean, rounded edges, that kind of stuff. And we add to that, but our product protection goes beyond that surface level cleaning. Between those routine washes, our antimicrobials are there working, resulting in that cleaner, fresher service. But we don't just stop at those cleaner surfaces. For Great Dane trailers, we actually use one of our Silver Shield technologies. We've optimized this technology to reduce the amount of silver required to effectively treat surfaces, and less silver is needed to keep those trailers protected, which does add to the sustainability of these products. Another way we've helped in that sustainability, cleaner environment sustainability, is making the trailers easier to clean. It not only saves time in cleaning, but if you think about it, just think if everyone used a few less minutes at the wash station, the time in line at the wash station would be reduced, which would conserve resources for everybody and put trucks back on the road more quickly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. Thank you. So shifting gears a bit, Tim, what are some of the simple preventative measures drivers and fleet managers can do to help maintain that reefer thermal performance?
So several things. One of them is just when they're making their stops, particularly again for food service, they're making the stops to close the doors. We've had reports, um, we've had fleets monitor the doors and what, and we've seen instances where the doors are open more than half an hour, sometimes even an hour at times. And while we're doing that, we've got cold air is coming out, we've got warm air going in, we've got exposure to anything else that's in that air coming into the trailer. As that temperature increases in the trailer, we've got more opportunity for the bacteria to grow, things like that. So that's very important. So we want to keep the trailer cold. We want to try and close that door as frequently as we can. I know that's going to be tough. Um, the drivers certainly that's a challenge for them. An alternate a something that helps with that situation, though doesn't cure it, would be strip curtains on
Yep.
the doors, and we can put those on side doors as well as on rear doors.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about that before, right, Tim? So, we know driver compliance with having those doors open, time in and out, running out of the truck is critical for that driver, but maybe helping them to see the difference of, how much energy is being left out of the trailer during that time and sort of how that impacts from a germ perspective, right, Angie, from your end, and how important that can be, particularly with critical loads.
So the other thing would be, the door type, particularly at the rear, is going to be, really based on the fleet's needs and their operation, whether it's swing doors, which are great as far as sealing up. They seal up a little better than the roll-up doors, but roll-up doors allow you to keep the door closed while you back into the loading dock. So there's advantage. And one other thing that when we're talking about the roll-up doors, there is a feature with an automatic door closer, much like your garage door closer at the house. It's just simply on a key fob. So the driver, as he exits the trailer and he's going to deliver the product into this local store where he's at, he can just hit the button and the door closes. So that's one other option that we have for our customers. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then, Angie, maybe you can talk a little bit about sort of the sealing of the trailer and how that affects from a germ perspective, the load and microban and how you play there.
Absolutely. Just kind of to add to what Tim said, everybody knows refrigerated trailers don't always smell the best, and microorganisms can be a significant contributor to these malodors. And Tim mentioned as you leave those doors open, you have that temperature gradient. You have hot on one side frequently and cold on the other. Then you get condensation issues. There's a few things that most organisms need to live, and one of them is moisture. Um, Different organisms do have different optimum growing conditions, but many bacteria, especially in the food service, that we would be concerned about, grow rapidly between that 40 degrees F and up to 140 degrees F. But when you get to that 40 degrees F, you start to see you can see significant growth. Some bacteria can actually double in number in as little as 20 minutes.
Wow.
And so, yeah, some of those things that Tim mentioned can really, leaving the doors open and doing some of that stuff can really increase the temperature to provide excellent growing conditions for microorganisms. And that just adds to a lot of bad things, including those malodors inside the trailer. And then using some of those preventative measures, the better door seals, closing the doors that Tim mentioned previously, and pairing that with an antimicrobial such as Microban that is working 24/7 is really a best practice to reduce those odors and optimize the thermal performance across the entire trailer.
Yeah, and we were talking before this. You even said, your natural tendency is to open the trailer to air it out, but
Yeah,
really sealing the trailer, even just from an odor, not even the germ perspective, right, is really the best practice to make sure we keep those trailers clean.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So kind
Um,
of building on some of that, Angie was talking about moisture in the trailer and condensation, what have you. Again, that's other things that we want to make sure that we've got in the trailer. We've got drainage so we don't get any standing water in there. We get ice build up if it freezes, or if it's not, it's standing water. So certainly we want to have have that. We want to have the rear doors and all the linings, whether they're on the doors, the sides, the front wall, whatever. We want to make sure that that's all sealed up around there, and we don't have. It's important to look and see if your trailer has any exposed edges of the lining. Commonly, we see that on the rear door panel, perhaps, and we see that maybe at the front wall where the cooling unit intrudes into the trailer. So those are areas that not everybody takes the time and the effort to seal those up and to close that. And we can see the edge of the lining, then we know that moisture can get in behind there, bacteria can get in behind there, which just is going to start breeding more and more problems.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
Completely agree.
Yeah, fantastic. So, well, let's move on and talk a little bit more about cleaning and maintenance, right? We've kind of talked a little bit about there, but how is cleaning and maintaining the product, right, help to contribute to making it easier? We've kind of talked about sealing it and making sure their germs aren't in there, but maybe talk a little bit about that life cycle of the trailer.
Sure. So this happens in a couple of different ways. From the Microban side of things, our technology has that continuous protection. It's that extra added layer of protection to prevent the growth of bacteria on treated surfaces. The Microban technology using this application is built in throughout that treated material, meaning it will not wash off, it will not wear away. And that durable antimicrobial protection is provided for the life of the trailer. So as long as it's there, as long as the material is there and the trailer exists, it's going to be providing protection. Our built-in technologies don't replace cleaning, but it does keep surfaces cleaner and fresher longer in between those prescribed regular cleanings. And then not, as we mentioned earlier, any kind of antimicrobial treated materials do reduce staining and odor caused by bacteria. So if it doesn't get stained as fast, if it doesn't smell bad as fast, it helps those fleet managers to get fleet crews to get cleaner and protected trailers out on the road more quickly. When they're not out on the road, you're kind of losing those resources. So if we can help them get those in and out and turned more quickly to be out on the road, it really helps everybody.
Yeah. So, obviously our audience is primarily in food service distribution. So we're talking about mixed load operations. So can you maybe talk a little bit about how you decide between these multi-temp compartments and the different air chute systems, and maybe, how we should treat the trailer, particularly when we're looking at having several different temperatures throughout it?
Sure. Sure. So if we're going to run multiple temperatures, then typically we're going to have movable bulkheads in the trailer. We're going to run a constant temperature, then we're more likely to have just a single air chute. But even I know some customers that still run multiple temperature products within that, even with an air chute and a full length 43 or 53-foot trailer. They may use a local storage unit as an ice bunker or something, very localized for some small amounts of deep frozen product. But the majority are going to use movable bulkheads. And so those can be transverse walls that are in the trailer, and that's going to basically forego the necessity of the air chute. We'll have a remote evaporator then in the second compartment. They can be 3-compartment trailers often. So we might have frozen up front, refrigerated in the middle, and maybe even dry, maybe not even refrigerated at the rear of the trailer.
Yep.
Certainly we have customers that do that all the time. There are multiple ways to get to this. Some customers will use a center partition where there's the wall down the center of the trailer, so they can still get to the frozen product that's at the front of the trailer by coming into the back doors. They don't need the side door in those cases. So really depends on how big the mix is of your frozen product versus your refrigerated product, and how you're going to deliver that.
So Tim, or would you say that, at Great Dane, you take sort of a customized when you're looking at outfitting a new distributor with trailers, you really talk about that whole life cycle of the trailer, as well as what the different use cases is to make sure you're designing the best solution for them?
Certainly. We talked to them. We had, away from food service, but we had one customer that was he was ordering trailers that were meat raw trailers. They're rare, but they do still exist.
Mm-hmm.
And where they're hauling the actual carcasses of beef suspended from the ceiling. And that customer wanted to put cargo track inside of the trailer. And we looked at him and we talked to him a little bit and we said, that's probably not a good idea. And he said, well, for my backhauls, I'm going to need this. And we kind of explored a little bit more. And I asked him to envision thinking about the carcasses rubbing on the sidewall of the trailer, rubbing on the cargo track, and fat and food products get sandwiched in behind there. And how do you get that cleaned out? And how bad
Right.
is that going to be, shortly after that load is delivered? So certainly we want to look at each customer's application. We want to talk to them. And Great Dane is widely known for customizing trailers. We can put a side door wherever you want it. We can do whatever insulation package you need. We're happy to be there for those customers, you know, that are thinking about green and what have you, and less diesel consumption. We also offer the ThermoGuard lining, which is great in preventing foam degradation. And so that trailer is going to have a much longer service life because the foam is going to be as good 5 years down the road as it was in year one.
Right, right. And I think based on our conversation too, and the Microban product that's in the trailer then is standard regardless of how it's being configured
Correct.
for the last several years. Yeah.
Yes. For many,
So
many years. So, as you said earlier, it was over 15 years we've been teamed up with Microban. And to me, one of the amazing things was, just common sense. You think about, okay, it's great at first, but it wears off. You wash it off, you rub on it, whatever. Cargo forklifts drag freight down the side of the trailer, and we all know that's how things get loaded. But it doesn't. It's embedded through the entire product, and so as long as there's lining on there, as Angie said, we've got that protection. So to me, that was just kind of the amazing thing that kind of took me a little bit to get that through my head, but I'm there now.
yeah, that's fantastic. I guess I didn't even realize that. That's really great. So maybe Angie, is there more you want to expand then there on sort of the microband and how it can stay in the trailer that way and how it doesn't wipe away from that technology standpoint?
Absolutely. So this is the particular microbrand product that is used in this application is a very, very durable product. It really has no temperature limitations. It can be used across the entire range. This is actually the same additive we would use in ceramic applications, so you can't damage this one. But when we go into the linings of the trailer, we actually go in during the extrusion process. So for those of you that don't understand, it works just like kind of chocolate chips in a chocolate chip cookie. We have chocolate chips throughout the entire layer. So we have microband particles throughout the entire layer, the lining of the tractor trailer. So if part of it gets rubbed away or abraded, there's more there in that next level. So again, if the liner is there, our product is there and doing its antimicrobial activity. So it's a great application. It's a great partnership, and it makes a whole lot of sense for what Great Dane is trying to accomplish. It's just a really great partnership for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That would have been my first question, right? If you see the wall or degradation of the product, right? Where is it? But to hear there's multiple layers, that's fantastic. So, um, we have a question. I think we touched on a little bit, but maybe you could expand. What would be the most effective way to prevent the rot and bacteria buildup that still can sort of be included in some of those wood components? You talked a little bit about that with your customer, Tim, but maybe you could expand upon that, or Angie.
I'll jump in here. So yeah, some trailer OEMs still use wood in their reefers. Great Dane does not. So the easiest way to prevent that is to buy Great Dane. So I'll throw that out there right now.
Sure.
Little plug, but even for those other trailers and for all trailers, basically the most important thing is if you see a tear in the lining, if you see a tear in the scuff band, any or even on the exterior skin, just make sure that you get that sealed up tightly and quickly so you don't get water into the foam because water moisture breeds that helps the bacteria reproduce and wet foam is not a very good insulator. So it's really when you get water in there, it's just the worst of both worlds. Not to mention they're going to have that potential for corrosion as well.
Yep. Super. Well, I think that's the end of the initial questions I have. Tim or Angie, what are the thoughts you have for the conversation? Anything you want to add?
I'll jump in first. So just as I mentioned, it's important to be able to wash out the trailer. Certainly, we still have to do that. We still have to do that. We got to make sure that we've got floor drains. We've got to make sure that we've got the front of the trailer tipped up higher than the rear, so our normal slope of the trailer floor, which is just a natural thing, that's going to help us. But as I kind of mentioned just before, just for maintenance, just keep everything sealed up tight. If we get any intrusion in that, make sure we get that sealed up as quickly as we can, so that we don't get any moisture in there.
It looks like we have a question from Eduardo. Eduardo, I'm gonna let you ask your question. Go ahead. Do you want to unmute yourself? Maybe not.
Hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
No, thanks. No, this is more of a clarification. I think there's a lot of information here on this partnership and the advantages of Microban. I just wanted to see if there's a way to post the links that we have. I think there's a couple on YouTube that show specifically how the Microban is embedded in the liner. I think that'll be great help for people that are still not understanding the advantages of this product, and just maybe after the call that can be shared.
Absolutely, absolutely. We would be happy to do that. So we would be happy to post that along with the other information from this webinar. We'll go ahead and do that when we're done. So we'll make sure to do that because I think it would be great for people to see in depth. I'm sure there's some great visuals to see how the product is embedded in the trailer and how all of that works.
And
So
if I could just add to that really quickly, I do want to add that anything that carries the Microban name, as does Great Dane Trailers, we actually confirm efficacy. So we have them make the parts, we bring parts back inside, and we put them in our microbiological lab, and we confirm efficacy. So every claim that is out there is backed up by actual scientific test data.
wow, that's great. Well, now when I see it at the mall and on an airplane and everywhere else my day, Angie, I'm going to think about it. So
Yes.
super. Any other final thoughts from you, Angie, that you want to add?
No, if anybody has any questions, you guys are welcome to reach out directly, to Great Dane or to Microban. We're happy to answer questions about any of our technologies. And we're always open to new adventures and new ideas. So.
Well, fantastic. Well, I just want to say this has been so informative. Thank everyone for coming and joining the conversation today. If hopefully for those of you who are joining today, we have our IFTA Solutions Conference will be at the end of the month. So for those of you who will be able to join us, Great Dane and Tim will actually be there on the Expo Hall floor. So Tim, you can dive into people's questions and I'm sure talk about trailer configuration and all those fun things on Sighted Solutions.
You bet. I'm excited to do it. I'm an engineer, so we get all fun geeky stuff like that. So, come see me at the booth and bring your questions. Happy to
That
talk
sounds
to you.
great. Yeah, no, that sounds great. And Solutions, I always love to put a plug in. Great place for all of our members to come learn more about what our great partners are doing, what other distributor members are doing. Great education throughout the food service industry. So, as noted, we will post this recording on the IFTA website and next couple days. And Angie will go ahead and share any links that you and Microban have or if Great Dane has. We'll add that to our content there. But want to thank you both for your time today and subject matter expertise. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks so much. Take care.
All right.
Bye
Bye.
bye.